This is Peace Community Realty, and today we're in the office actually talking once again with the Balkan Expert, Julie Karagod. And last time we were out, I think it was a few months ago, we had a great response. I think we've had 4,000 views so far to the video we did on residency in Montenegro. But we've got a big, broad section of things to talk about. There's new government, lots of new things that if you're looking to buy in Montenegro, if you're a digital nomad, or if you want residency in Montenegro, this is a very important video for you to watch all the way through to the end. So please, get to the end. We're going to talk about, like I said, new documentation. We're talking about new regulations for the digital nomads, the extension of the CBI program, so citizenship by investment, and finally the tax reform. I will put timestamps in the description below, so if you're just interested in the digital nomad stuff, then you can just skip to the part that interests you most. So you don't have to watch it, but I think it's going to be quite a long, detailed, and very informative video for you today. So, like I mentioned, Julie, so we're here, we're talking to you. First of all, new documentation, which is coming into force. Now, I think it was kind of old documentation or old kind of rules, but they're really kind of clamping down on how these, how it's been accepted or enforced these days.
Hi, Peter. Yeah. First of all, hi. Thank you for inviting me once again to have this next brilliant, I hope, video for the people who want to move to Montenegro, to buy something in Montenegro. Please, just don't just even have any doubt. Just ask Peter for help if you want to buy something. He is a great specialist in realty, in property in Montenegro. Yes, I want just to explain to all the people how it goes now in Montenegro. They have new requirements from September last year, which was imposed by the government for Montenegro. It was just like done in one day. Unfortunately, we were not absolutely ready for that. Mm-hmm. And this main change is that from September last year, all your documents, your take the view from your countries, should be legalized or apostilled. It's a very, very new rule for Montenegro. It's very important because the process of apostille or legalization of documents can take some time and should be done only in your country. I mean, in country where these documents was issued. Even there are some different situations we already had when some of our applicants had documentations issued in different countries. For instance, one in USA, one in Georgia, one in UK, and so on and so on. So every document should be legalized or apostilled. The only exclusion is the situation if Montenegro has the bilateral agreement with the country which issued the document, and this agreement says that there are no any legalization needed. Only in that case you can have your documents not legalized. But please, before you just go in any procedures, before you make your first steps, make a consultation with me or with Peter or with some other specialists, but you need to be sure that your documents are correct. Why? Because, again, as I told, it's impossible to legalize document in Montenegro. If there are some different cases when we can do this, they can manage this, but it will be very long time and it will be very, very expensive.
So I think my experience, so just to clarify from my point of view, which is kind of more real estate centric, Julie actually deals with other sides of the kind of residency. There are a couple of exceptions. So for example, if I'm with a client who's in Montenegro that wants to give me power of attorney, they can actually give me that in Montenegro and just get it notarized. It doesn't need to be apostilled. If somebody's in the UK and they want to give me power of attorney, or their lawyer power of attorney, or whoever it may be, they'll need to go to the notary, and the notary will actually do all this work for you. They'll need to go to the notary, and the notary will then take it over and then sort of notarize the document, send it off. I think it's sort of Foreign and Commonwealth Office or something like that. get it apostille, and then this document, the original document, needs to be sent to your proxy in Montenegro, so whoever is going to act on your behalf. So this goes beyond the ask of what was there before, so normally it was just kind of notarized, and it also, the scope of what it's needed for is much greater than it used to be before. So it used to be just for, let's say, the power of attorney, and for example, if you're selling a property and you need spousal approval, which is a very common thing in Montenegro, it used to be you could just do this in email form, and then they say, well, I'll just now give it with a notary, and now they're saying, okay, so it needs to be notarized and again apostille. So it's better to do all these things almost like one big batch, get it all notarized, sent to the get apostille, and get those original documents sent to Montenegro.
Absolutely correct. You can speak about any documents, whether it will be power attorney, a criminal record, or university degree diploma, a marriage certificate, birth certificate, or any document which issued is out of Montenegro.
Yeah.
Every document, and it's very, very important to check it before, because I have a lot of requests when people don't know the difference between apostille and legalization, and they don't know the procedures. The idea is that you need to check all these things, all these details with the lawyer in the country where the document was issued, because Peter and me, we can be only knowledgeable about Montenegro, about our native countries, but not about all the world. So please check it. And the main idea is that the legalization and apostille are the same procedures, but legalization much more complicated procedure, and apostille is just simple procedure of legalization, and apostille should be done for all documents which countries signed the Hague Convention on apostille. That's the idea. I just needed to explain it because a lot of people asking.
So these are obviously a lot more far-reaching. So I think we've done the kind of documentation side. So on to digital nomads. So digital nomads, there's some new news, or is there something else?
Something else. Yes, I'm just to it. Yes, another thing I need to mention here. It was very, very good. We have been waiting for that. If I'm not mistaken, in November, it was made a decision that officially that when you apply for your resident permit, you can pick up your resident permit by yourself, but the new thing is that someone can pick up the resident permit for you. In case if you will give the person the power of attorney. So it's very, very good thing, because I have a mountain client who has to go, who have some other businesses outside Montenegro, and they cannot wait for resident permit, especially for now, when their terms a bit much more longer than it was before. So it's very good situation, very good update for us, and you can use this chance if you need it.
If you want to find out more about residency, then we have the video, and I'm just trying to work out where it'll be on the screen. It's probably up here. There'll be a card. I'll try and link it, or I'll link it in the description below, so you can have a look at the video that we have. Maybe I'll put it on the end screen as well, so you can actually have a look about the video that we did about residency. We covered virtually everything on there, mainly residency through property, but we touched on, I think, a little bit on residency through having a company. So on the residential side of things, I think we're able to move on to the digital nomads.
Yes, these are the main things I mentioned. There are some other small peculiarities, but it's not so important for now to mention. So
Montenegro already is extremely popular with digital nomads. They're all over the place. We have some Airbnbs, and we sort of get lots of requests where people wanted to stay for a couple of months or so on. But previously they were limited in the amount of time. But there's a new law where they can stay for a year or something. Can you just go give us a full review on that?
Yes, I will explain. I'm very happy to announce this, because we have been waiting for this news for 4 years. Montenegro finally, after Croatia, decided to implement and to impose the new type of resident permit. I will usually use the term digital nomad visa, but in fact it's not visa, it is digital nomad residence permit. That's the idea. It is still in process because the principal decision already made. Government already adopted the program for digital nomads, but there's some laws should be changed next couple of months or maybe half a year, and the principal law to be changed is the immigration law. Here it calls law for foreigners. And what is the idea? The idea is that digital nomads are the people who have their income from outside of Montenegro, and if you want to apply for digital nomad resident permit, you need first to prove that you have your income outside Montenegro. We don't know now some details, what kind of documentation you need to have. Maybe it will be contract with employee, contract with employer, or maybe it can be your contract about services, etc. We will see it in details after the law will be adopted. But anyway, it is a principal thing. Another one that it was also taken from the Croatian law. You will not have any right to work in Montenegro. You will not have any right to be employed here or to provide any services. You need to have your income only from outside. But from this point of view, it's a very good idea of the government that in this case you will not pay any taxes in Monte, only where you have your income.
So this is completely separate to the normal kind of working visa, I'm assuming. So obviously, if I want to employ somebody, then they need to have the kind of the visa. I can employ them and so on and so forth. This is be purely for remote workers.
Yes, absolutely.
Getting their income from outside of Montenegro, and they're not providing. Well, they are providing the service in Montenegro, but let's say they're not. Providing work for Montenegro, let's say. They're not working for me, for example. They're working for somebody in America or the UK or so on and so forth.
Exactly. You cannot provide services in the Montenegron market. That's the idea. So you need just to provide services all over the world. That's the idea.
I love the fact that it's zero income tax. So there's not the dual tax. So if anybody's, for example, Americans, it's going to be very important for Americans because of the dual taxation and so on, and or so on. So you can actually have your income. Now, maybe some people are actually working tax free. They could be getting, I don't know, maybe employed from Jersey, from the Channel Islands, or some other tax haven or something. But they won't have the burden of tax in Montenegro while they have the legal right to work from Montenegro.
You are absolutely correct. What is interesting here that comparing with Croatia, that in Montenegro this residence permit for digital nomad can be renewed. Because in Croatia you cannot renew it. You can have it only for 1 year. Then you need to leave country and you have no right to apply for another type of residence permit the next 6 months. Here now in Montenegro, the government decided that they will have another option to attract digital nomads in Montenegro. So after 1 year, because this residence permit will be issued for 1 year, you will have a right to renew it. And
is this a perpetual right to renew? Can you renew it 1 year, then another year, then another?
Unfortunately, for now, we don't have any details.
It's all new.
We don't have any details for now. If it is the road to the to the permanent residency or not, we don't know, but we will know it very quick, I hope. What I can say that it can be renewed. It was announced that it can be renewed, and the family members can also have right to get residence permit as family members, but the same is in Croatia. That's the idea.
Is that if they're dependent? So if they're either married or children under 18, is that right?
Absolutely.
And they're solely dependent on the wage. Now, is there a minimum wage?
Yes, it says that's the principal thing I wanted to say in the end. Yeah. As for wages, there were some discussions about wages. From the beginning, it was discussion that in the way that wages should be much less than in Croatia, but finally it turned out that the wages will be the same.
I heard something which was that it was going to be, or they're looking to try and do this at €2,500 a month.
It will be 2,500 mostly because you need to show that you have monthly you own monthly free average.
You mean 3 times?
Yes, again. Yes.
So it's
you can explain in your way because maybe you can explain it better.
Okay. Is it so? Just so we all understand.
Yeah, because
do they need to have 3 times the average salary in Montenegro?
Absolutely.
They do.
Yes.
So it is around about €2,500 a month then.
It will be 2,500, something like in Croatia.
So that's, I don't know, annual wage of about €30,000 per annum. Now it's not a trick question, but it's a question that I know a lot of people are keen on finding out. Would this apply to somebody who can then show income through investment, for example in cryptocurrency or stock market or so on? Let's say they've got an income of 70 or 100,000 a year, so they may not be able to show the monthly salary, but they can show that they're
unfortunately, I can answer you answer you this question because it's very often questioned. But the problem is that Montenegro still don't have any regulations regarding cryptocurrency, this kind of activities, etc. So it's not just regulated. So the banks are very, very suspicious about any income from this kind of.
My experience is they're not suspicious. I think they're basically they're held back by the intermediary banks, which tend to be European, and because of the European central banks and so on. Let's say that the current kind of maybe dislike for cryptocurrency, then it's actually holding back Montenegro, because obviously the Montenegrin banks can't work without the intermediary banks in Austria or wherever they may be. So it is holding back some people with the cryptocurrency. Having said that, there are people living in Montenegro who are earning their money from cryptocurrency. But obviously they're working, they're using a different type of visa. They're getting a visa through residency or through a company.
Yes.
And obviously they just can't do the digital nomad
that's the idea, because I have a lot of clients who are in reality are digital nomads themselves. We have more than 80% of such clients, and they all use different types of payment system, banks, services, etc. outside Montenegro, to have this money here, to use them here. There are amounts of ways I can say about this day or that day, because every person just using his own way, judging on citizenship, on the source of money, etc., a lot of things. And what is interesting, I want just to mention it here, because you mentioned banks. They're very good information that finally Montenegro started to change the bank laws. I mean the laws which regulated banking sphere, to finally allow the payment systems to come to Monte. That's a very good idea, because unfortunately we have problem with payment systems. PayPal, truly speaking, doesn't work normally. It just like half works here, and all other payment systems really doesn't function here. They don't function here in Montenegro. You can use it so for physical, for individuals. I mean, for physical persons, for individuals, but for companies, impossible for now. And I know that Montenegro finally on their way, on its way to somehow change it, because the main problem is in legislation.
This is mainly, is this for the kind of international payments and for commercial businesses?
Exactly. The problem is in legislation, and the legislation which very, very strict against money laundering. That's the idea.
So there is, I mean, like the rest of Europe, and there's a potential of Montenegro going into the European Union in 2025, or there's a potential that it could be, continue come down this kind of tax haven route and so on. Already the tax rates for individuals are extremely good. They're currently 9%. We're going to get onto tax reform a little bit later, but it's something that is also changing. But it looks as though sort of that things are improving. Let's say for the better, but there are some changes there too.
Yes, we'll speak about it a bit later.
So. Passports. So we have the citizenship by investment ended, as I was aware, on the 31st of December. But
very good news. It was prolongated for 1 year more.
1 more year. Okay.
Yes, 1 more year. It was prolongated, but again.
I assume the rules have changed.
From this side is just great information, and if you have been thinking about this program, you have much more time to finally make a decision and go to Peter and to find the apartment of your dream here and have the passport. But the rules has already changed because you have been thinking so long time. Rules changed. Now you need to invest more 100,000 euros because it will be the another obligation for the investors. Before you paid only the same sum, you paid only to the fund for the north regions to develop, and now you have to pay to another state fund for innovations. So now the whole sum will be a bit higher.
So the previous rules were if you wanted to get the passport by investment, citizenship by investment, it's quite quick actually. You get the citizenship, and then actually as soon as you have that, the next day you fast track, and then you get the passport. So you're a citizen and the passport and so on, and I think you can use it at about 125 countries, probably in addition to your own passports anyway. So in the north of Montenegro, you had a minimum spend of 250,000 euros plus 100,000 euro donation, plus quite a lot of other expenses which kind of added up to pay for administration and all sorts of bits and pieces which really kind of stacked up. So even in the north, it probably worked out to be about $450,000-$500,000, not euros. I don't know what it is in euros, but in euros. So the 250 plus 100 and plus I think maybe another $60,000-$70,000 additional costs on top of that. And on the coast, there's only 2 projects on the coast. It's a minimum spend of 450,000 plus 100,000 donation plus the administration. But now you're saying that
they will have another type of donation.
There's another donation, so that will be that will apply to the north and the coastal regions.
The same, doesn't matter.
So it'll be the 250. So you can still buy the apartments for 250,000 or 450,000 on the coast, 100,000 plus another. Do you know how much it is? Yeah.
You mean for the administration,
the new innovation fund?
Yes, the same, absolutely.
It's another 100,000.
Yes, another 100,000. Yes.
So basically, it's
200,000 now.
So it's 200,000 going to the government. So I don't know. So there we are. But anyway, the program has been extremely successful. I know, for example, there are a lot of hotels that this investment. A lot of people think they're kind of buying real estate, but in actual fact, they're kind of investing in a hotel, and as a payback for that, they're actually getting some time in that hotel. So maybe they're going to get 2 weeks or 4 weeks a year or so on, usually on the off season. So if it's in the ski resorts they'll tend to get the 4 weeks kind of maybe spring, summer or autumn rather than the prime skiing season. Having said that, up in some of the ski resorts, Kalashin for example, there's a motorway going by there. It looks as though this season is going to extend incredibly wide. So like many other resorts in the world, it won't be just ski, it'll be an all year round kind of resort place.
So yes, I suppose that you're much more specialist in this investment process.
So if you're looking for it, please come to me. We have got great advice. We can tell you where to go, which are the good places to invest, and which aren't so good. So we have a lot of knowledge on that. We've helped quite a few people on this citizenship by investment. So if you are looking for this type of program, my details are in below. I'll leave my mobile number so you can contact me on WhatsApp. WhatsApp's always best for me, or my direct email. So we'll take you through the whole process quite smoothly.
Correct.
Okay. So and then talking about that, so people who are looking at citizenship by investment, they're probably concerned about tax. Now we're going to talk about tax reform in Montenegro for the likes of me and you, and also maybe sort of high net worth individuals and so on and so forth. So there's big reforms coming into Montenegro, a massive increase in the minimum wage, which is obviously going to lift the standards for a lot of people in Montenegro, especially people working in the supermarkets and so on and so forth, but also higher let's say not obligations, probably the same obligations to the business owners, but maybe they're going to be monitored a bit closer. So yeah.
But yes, you're right. The tax reform was adopted finally in the end of December. It was like battle. There were very long battle in government and in parliament regarding this reform. It was a bit controversial, but anyway, finally it was adopted, and the main idea was that the minimum salary to be raised twice. It was raised
doubled, yeah?
Doubled, yes. It was raised from 200.5 to 400.5, and it will be the minimum salary from the January this year. But at the same time, what was the idea that the taxes on this salary to be a little bit reduced from 17 to 20%. Unfortunately, I don't know it for sure for now.
I don't think anybody does. We've asked our accountants what the rates are, because a business like ourselves, the actual let's say the income tax is actually quite high in Montenegro as a percentage. But let's say if you're the outside earnings and the corporate tax and so on, Montenegro has great kind of tax for people sort of bringing in. Having a company in Montenegro, it's a 9% corporate tax and so on and so forth, or they're getting the earnings from outside of Montenegro through dividends or through rental income and so on and so forth. It's 9% and so on. So a few of these things are going to change a little bit, but this percentage of the income tax is quite high. So for me, I'm happy to increase the wages, where we need to, and but obviously, as long as the kind of overall costs don't be too.
Yeah, so we'll see, because the changes, there are a lot of changes, and we will see how it can be functioned after we will calculate everything with our accountants. Very important things were changed, that finally Montenegro imposed the so-called untaxable part of salary. In all the countries in region, it was already done years before, but Montenegro was the last country which never imposed this. So if you will have salary up to 700 euros, you will have some part of salary which will not be tax, which will not be taxed.
In the UK, we actually have the taxes are kind of stepped up. So if you earn less than X amount of thousands, then you pay maybe 0% income tax, but you'll still pay maybe national insurance on that. Then if, let's say, for the sake of ease, it's 0 to 10,000, 0 tax, 10 to 15,000, maybe 20-25%, and then maybe from 15 to 40,000, it might be 25% or so on. On those higher amounts, it's kind of stepped amount. You also have the national insurance in the UK. We have a similar kind of thing here. So it's quite good that you're not paying the income tax from the zero amount. You're paying it from a much higher rate. So those who have a higher salary will just sort of pay a little bit more as a percentage, but it won't be the full percentage. Because,
but we'll see, because the taxation of the salary is very, very complicated. There are a lot of different kind of taxations and taxes and fees, so we'll see it as I mentioned. What's interesting that this decrease of the taxes on salary should be done due to the medicine, to the medical insurance. That means that we will not anymore to pay some fees for medical insurance from our salaries, but the government plans to take this money from the business, from the tobacco business, from the alcohol business, from those who are selling some sweets.
So
this is the idea, to take this money from the business.
So in order to get the additional funds that the government needs, so they're going to move more towards, instead of the direct taxes from the wages, it'll be the indirect taxes. So maybe petrol, maybe fuel, I'm not sure, alcohol, cigarettes, and sweets, which is great. So things with sugar in, I guess. So
something which is harmful.
Pop, and we call it pop. So like fizzy drinks and sweets and things like that, to make it a little bit more expensive, maybe less attractive to buy, and so on. And if people are buying it more, which is going to probably impose some kind of issues on the health service here, then they're getting the funds from the sale of those sweets.
Yes, the idea is if your products are harmful for the health, you need to pay more.
Yes.
That's the idea. That's the idea. Okay. And in our main.
Well, I think gyms should be taxed, because every time I go to the gym, I always feel terrible afterwards.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. Kind of harmful to the health. As you see, I haven't been for a few years, so since my son was born. So
I don't know, but for gyms. And what's very important to mention here, that their income tax for individuals and for everyone who has salary, or if you have your own business, to be raised in case if you will have more than 1,000 euros salary per month, or if you have more than 12,000 euros income a year. Mm-hmm. That's the idea. If you have less, the tax will be the same 9%, but if you will have more, the tax will be 15%.
Uh-huh.
It's raised to 15%. So because I already read some, informations in internet like, oh wow, the income tax will raise. No, it will not raise for everyone. Only if you have the concrete your concrete salary or income. That's the idea. And what now I think they need to mention, that Montenegro imposed a progressive rate for corporate tax.
Uh-huh.
Again, as you already mentioned, it was 9% only, but now it will be 9, 12 and 15.
Okay.
It depends on the sum. For everyone who will earn maximum 100,000 a year, the tax will be 9%.
Okay. So we'll earn up to 100,000, and then you have a 9% tax of your external incomes, or through the company. So if we make 100,000 in profit, then we're just going to pay 9%.
Yes. If you have more, if you have up to 1.5 million, you will pay 12%, and you have above, you will pay 15%. Mm-hmm. Just here, Montenegro, imposed these kind of taxes regarding to the main, changes in the world, because of course, that the governments agreed upon the tax of 15% for big companies. Mm-hmm. That's the idea. So Montenegro here somehow was still in this way.
Yeah, so still great rates of tax, obviously. Not as low as Ireland, but I doubt the likes of Google and Amazon or whomever are going to move from Ireland to Montenegro to put their headquarters here anyway. But actually for let's say there's kind of small and medium enterprises, or kind of private kind of family wealth or so on, this could be still a great place for people actually to have a company here and actually use it, to pay their taxes. So.
Yes, that's the idea. But again, I just want to mention that for individuals, don't forget that for individuals, you need to pay for taxes for your income, not only in Montenegro, but outside Montenegro if you have tax residences here. It's very important because this income is income from any your investments, bonds, dividends, renting apartments somewhere, any property, etc. There is a list.
And bizarrely, probably cryptocurrency. They probably accept the taxes.
If you can show somehow.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting. Maybe the only exception to this could be the USA, where they'll actually just tax you wherever you go anyway. So. But it's kind of interesting. So even 10 or even 15% tax is much lower than in many other countries. So it could be a great advantage to move to Montenegro. I know we have clients from all over the world sort of coming to Montenegro simply because the tax rates are so much better than they are in their home countries. And we even have kind of clients who are saying, well, do you know what? We're going to give up US citizenship. So we don't need to pay them in the US anymore. We're just going to pay the taxes. So for our worldwide income, we'll just pay the 9%, 12% or 15%, whatever it may be, depending on the earnings in Montenegro.
Yes, you're correct. Absolutely.
So some quite good news. I think the important thing is actually there's a lot of it's quite complicated. Not complicated, but we actually have a lot of people coming to us looking to buy a property, or they're thinking about having a business or so on and so forth for the residency. I think the important thing to think about actually is do you want to be resident in Montenegro? If so, then you can talk about residency. That's the main distinction. You can still buy property, you can still live in Montenegro, they still have the 90 days out of 180 days rule. So a lot of actually, there's quite a few property owners. They're getting the residency and they don't need it. So because they're actually quite happily living in the UK, for example, they don't need to come to Montenegro. They don't, so it's kind of a bit pointless. So there's lots of different scenarios. So in which case, you should always speak to an expert like Julie to work out the best policy or the best way forward for you. Julie also works with some tax experts as well. So maybe sort of working with people giving legal advice and so on. So to give the fuller picture, she's the person to speak to.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this, Peter, for your words, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm going to try and put as much information as I can below. It will take me some time. Like I said, I will put the timestamps in so you don't have to watch the whole video. Certainly, I'll put Julie's contact details so you can contact her directly, or you contact me directly. My details will be in the links below. And I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Is there anything else you want to add, or is there something we missed, or?
Maybe some things regarding property, because we already mentioned it. Again, I have a lot of requests and questions if it is necessary to have company when you buy property. No, you don't need to have company if you buy a property. If you want to rent this property, it just not connected. So if you want to rent something, if you want to be someone who rents your property, you can do it as an individual. So you pay taxes as an individual. You don't need company for that. So please be sure.
Let me bust some myths for you as well, because I get this a lot. So a couple, we saw this on another video, is that you need to have a minimum of 12 square meters. Nope. Not true. I asked Julie to look into this. You don't need a minimum of 12 square meters. When you're buying a new property, you pay PDV, they call it here, or VAT or sales tax on top of it. Nope, you don't. In fact, If you're buying a new property from the developer and it's the first time it's been registered, you do not pay the purchase tax. So there's a 3% purchase tax normally on resale properties. If you're buying a property from a developer that's fully registered and paid his PDV, VAT, you're not paying this additional 3% PDV. And yep, so you don't need to have a company, you can buy as a private individual. And also, there's some great, I think it's still the case, but if you are buying a property and you're renting that property out on Airbnb, the way that they're taxing it is great. Very, very simple. You don't have to keep all your receipts and do all this and go, da, 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 I paid 15 euros, but I had to pay them cash or so on. No, if you're renting a property out on Airbnb, and let's say you've got an income of 10,000 euros, the tax department say, well, okay, half of that income we will tax at 9%. So you get taxed on 5,000 euros at 9%, which is 450 euros. So 10,000 income, 450 euros for tax. So it's quite simple.
Wow, but now we will see how it will function, because we have new taxation. Yes, so, all depends. But anyway, yes, we have very simple taxation here. But you should remember that if you want to rent some property as an individual, you need to have, for that authorization, you need to have license. For that, I don't know if you
there's some,
help
you need
with
to
this.
register and licenses and so on.
So,
and we can do that, or the property managers can do it. There's lots of ways around it. So I think I'm on recording limit probably soon. So I'd like to say thank you, Julie, once again for great advice. If you have some questions, then leave it in the comments below. So we want to try and do some videos which are going to help you understand how to buy in Montenegro, some useful advice and so on and so forth. So please leave your questions in the comments below. Julie's contact details will be there, mine will be there, and thank you for watching. For those people who've made it all the way through the end, I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, and thanks for watching. And there's a couple of videos here, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.